Sherman Burgess is a truck driver from Canberra who is best known for his online persona, the Great Aussie Patriot. His anti-Islamic videos, which he posts regularly, attract enormous numbers of fans and detractors. Sherman also recently spoke at the Reclaim Australia rallies, which were held on Easter Saturday. The rallies took place all over the country, and thousands marched against what they perceive as an Islamic threat to Australia's way of life. I've always been fascinated by people who have extreme points of view on any subject, and with Muslims in Australia making up a small minority, I've found it hard to grasp why anybody would see them as a threat. But there are tens of thousands of Australians who do, and Sherman is one of their loudest voices. I travelled to Canberra ahead of the Reclaim Australia rallies and spoke to Sherman about what he sees as an Islamic conspiracy to take over Australia. So what you're concerned about right now is partly violent Islamism, but also partly
cultural jihad as well.
Yeah, and Islamic people kind of outbreeding us, and in, I don't know, 100 years or so, us becoming a Muslim nation.
That's their goal. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some good Muslims, there are, but they're not tackling the extremist ideology within their mosques. They're not. 30 ISIS fighters came back from overseas and they're already back in the mosque. Now, the imams know who they are, but they're still allowing them in the mosque after publicly saying that they do not support ISIS on TV, yet they're allowing them in the mosque.
What's your proof for that?
Have a look at Lakemba Mosque.
Have you been to Lakemba Mosque?
Yes, I have. I've been to Lakemba Mosque.
And you have proof?
I actually had a guy threaten to kill me when I went there, but...
So you have proof that there's 30 ex-ISIS members being...
Julia Bishop let them in. It was actually on TV. Julia Bishop let them back into the country.
Personally?
Yes. You can look it up, trust me. I'm not lying.
I find that very difficult to believe.
Look up the facts for yourself. Like I said, I'm not lying. I have no problem with multiculturalism, right?
Yeah.
Not a problem with it at all, right? I have Asian friends, Italian, Greek, Aboriginal friends, right?
Yeah.
I haven't got a problem with it at all.
Yeah.
What I do have a problem with is people with a certain ideology, a religious ideology, that come here and say that they're going to impose Sharia law on us and that the flag of jihad's going to fly over the top of Parliament.
I have a problem with those people as well. I have a problem with anybody that decides to impose a religious ideology on me. I think it's awful. I hate religion.
So I've got no problem.
I just don't know why it's Muslims that you're so concerned about.
Well, in the Quran, it says that it is okay to rape an uncovered woman. They can actually use the Quran to back it up when they do it. They can use it. But, I mean, the verses from the Quran itself.
You could argue then that Jews could use the Torah to justify things like that.
Well, in the Torah, it doesn't say that you are allowed to rape an uncovered woman. As well as being one of Australia's most prominent opponents of Islam, Sherman plays guitar in a band called the Eureka Brigade. The band's lyrics and videos are even more anti-Islam than Sherman's videos. We sat down together to listen to some of their tracks. I mean, there's something there that says, "Fuck off, you Muslim pedo cunt." Yeah. That photo was made in England when they covered up 1,400 cases of rape where British girls were abducted in Rotherham, right? And the council tried to sweep it under the rug and the British police tried to hide it. So that's circulated all through England, that picture. Yeah. And that was in return to all the people whose kids had been abducted and raped, and then the police didn't actually end up arresting any of the culprits, and they got off because there wasn't enough evidence to pin them, apparently. Yeah. I mean, there's one here that says, you know, women of Sydney, Australia's Muslim gang rapists would like to ride with you. Now, that's all the Scaf gang rapists. There's Bilal Scaf and Mohammed Scaf. And
they're all in jail.
No, actually, some of them are being released now. Mohammed Scaf is actually released from Goulburn Jail now. He's back out on the streets. It's just kind of confusing as to why you wouldn't think that this looks incredibly racist. Well, Islam's not a race, so it can't be racist. If I was targeting, like, you know, Asians or, something like that, then yeah, I'd agree it'd be racist. But we're actually targeting an ideology.
Well, then it's really confusing as to me as why somebody like you can't see why people would view this as being as tarnishing whole Muslim community with what these 9
But it's not,
idiots did.
because it says Sydney's Muslim gang rapists. It doesn't say all of Sydney's Muslims would like to ride with you. You know what I mean? That's why it says gang rapists, because that's what those guys are.
Yeah, but I mean that is kind of designed to imply that gang rape culture is more prevalent in Muslim communities than in others.
It's very high.
How do you know that? Where are the statistics to prove that?
Have a look online. You can find the statistics in the New South Wales police reports online. Research a tactic in the Quran called taqiyya. Now, this is Islamic deception. I've read the Quran from front cover to back. Now, what taqiyya is fooling the infidel into thinking you are from the religion of peace while your numbers are low and you still don't have a foothold in society. This is how Muhammad conquered half the Middle East, right? He used to get allies from neighbouring tribes, right, who were Islamic. He would sit there and say he was peaceful, right? And then when Muslims built up in those communities, he would overthrow their communities, right? And either force them to convert to Islam or kill them. Now, this was evident when the Banu Qurayza tribe did not support him in one of his 60 wars. He got 800 of their men and beheaded 800 men in a single day because they would not support him in a war against a neighbouring tribe.
So in short, and I guess you could probably answer this with a yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
Your belief is that Islamic communities in Australia, or perhaps their leaders, are involved in a conspiracy to Islamise Australia, and right now they're pretending to be peaceful so that they can enhance their numbers in our communities and one day overthrow the current cultural status quo in Australia.
You only got to look at Hizb ut-Tahrir's constitution, which they have on their website, and how they plan to introduce Sharia law into Australia. Now, this is the #1 Islamic political party in the country, the most popular Islamic political party they have.
So the answer is yes.
So the answer is yes.
Aussie! Oi! Aussie! Oi! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Oi! Thank you.
Bloody beauty.
The Sydney Reclaim Australia rally was held at Martin Place, just around the corner from the Lint Cafe. About 500 people came out in the rain to hear a number of speakers, but it was Sherman who really rallied the troops.
Look at everyone here today, many different flags, Eureka flag, Aboriginal flag, boxing kangaroo flag, everything. Yes. Now we are standing in the very place just up the road there where the Lint Cafe siege happened and 2 Australians were killed. Man Monis, I'm sure you are all familiar with this man.
Unfortunately.
Should never have been on a
The media wrote it off as a lone wolf attack. This is a blatant lie, as Man Monis had over 30,000 followers on his Facebook page. Our government is cancelling passports of those trying to leave the country to join Islamic State, which means the only place they can behead an infidel or blow up a crowded building is right here in Australia.
Let him go.
I have an idea for the Australian government. Why don't you let them leave to fight for Islamic State, then cancel their passports so they can never return to harm anyone in this nation ever? Let me ask you this. When was the last time you seen a Buddhist go around raping an uncovered woman because Buddha told him to? Or even ask yourself, when was the last time you saw a Christian run onto a school bus and yell out Jesus is great before detonating a suicide vest and blowing everyone up?
How many are in Australia?
I'm the Great Aussie Patriot. Thank you for attending. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Aussie! Aussie, Aussie! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Thank you.
you attended the rally today?
Just got here.
What do you want to see as a result of this rally? What do you want? What's next?
What's next?
Yeah.
Ban the burqa, ban halal, shut the mosque down.
Shut every mosque down?
Yeah, bye-bye. Take it back to where you come from. Not welcome here in Australia. Proving too much every day.
Okay, thanks. What about you?
Sharia law is stopped in Australia. There's no place for it.
No more halal certification on any of the food that we buy. I don't want my hard-earned money to go and fund terrorism and Islam and building fucking mosques. So
And you can't scare us. We're going to go wherever. Terrorism.
What do you want to see as a result of these rallies?
Well, to bring the white power back to Australia. Bring Australia to the white people of Australia. We don't want all these foreigners coming here. Go back to where you come from. We're in Squadron 88. We're for Australia and Australia only.
We are fighting to fix what is happening here. If they don't like it, boot it.
I just want Australia to be the Australia that my forefathers fought for.
I'd like to be able to get back to a time and a place where I can eat a meat that I love, lamb and chicken, without it having been sacrificed to a false idol.
They've got to ban Sharia law. It's got to be made illegal to actually practice
mean Sharia law?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, well, yeah, pronunciation. You know.
Mate, I just don't like pedophiles. They say, like 2% of Australia's population are all Muslim. Doesn't that alarm you? Over 2% of Australia's population, they worship a fucking pedophile.
We travelled 3 hours to get here. We're from Bathurst. We came all the way from Bathurst to show our support and stand next to our countrymen and say no Sharia law in Australia. We don't want that crap. We have the daughter. I don't want female genital mutilation for her. I don't want her to be covered up. I want her to have the freedom to sing her national anthem in her school if she wants to, stand up proudly in front of her flag. Wouldn't you want that? Would you be upset if they said you can't sing your national anthem anymore? Would you be upset with that?
How would you feel if your daughter was raped at 6 years old by 4 Muslim men and stoned to death? How would you feel?
If you're a 29-year-old man, you do not go hunting 12-year-old and 16-year-old girls to marry them. That's not on, that's pedophilia. If we do it, we go to jail. They do it, it's all fine. It's not right.
Well, it's an ideology, isn't it? It's not like cultures. We're called racist, but it's an ideology. It's a religion. How can you be racist when it's a religion?
On hatred and violence. No.